just going to shoot real quick. What I've done is I take all of my red wrapped arrows that I have red on the tail are designed to have the fletching go a very particular red. Red means the red fletchings go up. Black means the white ones go up. So I'm just going to shoot. And I gotta say, that's a pretty accurate arrow considering I just aim for the center and punch the trigger. That's one of my fletchings, guys. But this one's one of the mild ones. This is a very mild extra twist over the stock one. It just gives it a real nice profile, but that's about it. Here, hold on. Let me give you guys some more light here. There you go. And now, hopefully, you can see a little bit better. No? Well, let's fix that, shall we? We've got a flash. So, let's try that. Oh, yeah. So, now you can see what I mean. So, this is just a pretty basic fletching setup. But, on all of these, the white will go down. And if you really look, when the knock is lined up straight, that red fin is coming straight off to the side, right? So you flip it over, and now it's facing straight up, and the other one is less so. It all depends on how your setup lines up. So I fired it one way. Now I'm going to fire it the opposite way, just so you can see what I mean. And in the end, they're pretty accurate either way, like I said. With the right spiral, I find it works really nice. But it's a little off this way, and they really are a little more accurate, well, significantly more accurate the other way. Instead of off, it was bang on. So even though when it looks, it would seem like they would rub more this way, it's actually not true, and do exactly what I said. On these ones, I put it down so I see red and red. I know I got it right. And they work very well, they're very accurate. The other thing is, I've been experimenting with these guys, and you might have noticed that the original setup I did, there was only one, and it only holds 2 arrows. And I did say it's better to keep your single arrow separate. And since I've already showed you this one in the last video, if you haven't seen that one, go back and check it out, guys. This one is my single arrow holder. Now I figured because it's a red and black bow, this would go real nice with the red and black arrow and the black end caps that I had for it, which is absolutely true. There's just some rubber stuffed in one end, friction, and this is stiff. And I drilled out a hole for it to fit the diameter, so it actually fits the diameter of this shaft absolutely perfect. It holds it tightly in place. That way, my best arrow also, all I'm doing here, I've added no tape to this. Remember I said you don't need it? This one also, I cut it down low, so it's tapered, and it's quite long. And you can see in both of these cases, guys, they are quite long, like a sword sheath. But one of them, I'm holding the ends together here, is quite a bit longer by about 4 inches. And you can see that it therefore contains more of the arrow. But by doing it that way, for my best arrow, and tucking it right here in my next belt loop over, and just tucking it into the position it naturally wants to go to, it's not only more out of the way, but I can kind of tuck it up if I want. And it's very, keep it up like this going through the bush, and keep these ones in front of you and have it available so fast if you need to shoot. That it's really nice, because at the same time as all that, keep in mind that this still fits on your shoulder. And you can even put it over like this, which is what I do if I'm just trekking, you might think, but it sticks out too far for my taste and it doesn't have high enough brace height to do that comfortably. But I find if I do this and just leave it, it actually sits between the two of these, perfect, and it's like it's all hands-free. And it makes it so in this kind of speed, I can have my bow in hand really in a millisecond, and then slam an arrow into it and fire. So what I've done is, all of the arrows that I've brought with me, of the 3 that I'm carrying, this is a good hunting setup for you guys who are out there, by the way. 3, that way my best arrows are my best arrows here. and the other two are here. And it keeps this one protected. And you'll see, when I come up and shoot, though, it means that this one's right in front of me. And when I shoot, immediately I have another arrow right to hand right away to grab if I miss, which is why it's a great hunting setup, guys. I highly recommend that type of a setup because it's out of the way. They're actually very light because they're carbon fiber. These aren't crap hockey sticks. These were all very, very good quality carbon fiber. Very light, very strong, sturdy stuff that's well sealed against the elements, and with the epoxy and everything and the rubber, they're really nice. These just work so good that I thought I would share because all of these together will fit so easily. This, when it's unbowed, makes an excellent walking stick, guys. And it's thoroughly epoxied, and it's also excellent for spear fishing or spear hunting with a cord on the end that you can wrap around your wrist because the other end is an open loop. So you just spread the loop open, put your wrist through, grab the spear, and chuck it. And it works amazing. And, I don't know if you noticed, but yeah, this one's not a sharpened tip on the other end. That's because I don't actually plan on using mine that way. But the way they come brand new, it's got a tip on it, a sharpened tip. That's perfect for spearfishing. Some of them I leave that way, some of them I don't. This is meant to be the pretty one, believe it or not. I've really enjoyed it. I love this bow. It's quickly becoming my favorite one. I have a sight coming for it that's actually going to be red. So it'll match with the red sight and the red fletchings and the blue and the carbon fiber and the red and all those little things. It looks good. And more to the point, it holds all three arrows in a really nice way. In a way that allows me to keep my three arrows separated. A lot of times your quiver doesn't really allow that. It also allows me to do this and keep these two in front of me and separated. And believe it or not, I've played around with this. It's really easy for me to set them in place. As long as I put this one first to the bottom, the other one won't actually go in all the way without me pushing it. And if I just let it sit, if at the same time I want the bottom one, I can just grab it and the other one falls into its place, which means I can just set them and go and then see something and know which one I'm grabbing because I've set them up exactly where I want them. So I have my number one, my number two, and my number three arrow exactly where I want them when I want them. That really counts. On top of that, I have my back quiver with another 3 to 12 arrows in it. It'll hold up to 18. So, you know, that's where I'm at. I just thought I'd show you guys because I have a shoulder sling and everything that goes with this, and when it's all on, it all works together as one cohesive setup that is slick. It's out of the way. It's feather light. In fact, the entire setup with the arrows is lighter than the last bow I had. So there's that. That's about it for this one, guys. The arrows shoot great. I technically don't have worse arrows anymore. And while I'm not going to film the whole thing, I'm going to continue my process. So I've identified what my best arrow is. It is, in fact, my newest fletching, and I've showed you guys that in the last video. If you haven't seen that, go check it out. Like, share, subscribe, and I will continue to show you more cool stuff that is custom DIY, that looks good and functions well, and gets the job done in a really cool kind of fashion. More often than not, because that's what I do. And I'm always coming up with new things, new fletchings, new ways to do things. And they actually work really, really well. And no matter which arrow I grab right now, as long as I'm careful with my form, because these types of bows are quite sensitive to being twisted. You can see how much twist this has without this letting go of its epoxy. That's just twist. While any of that you do is throwing the arrow way off. You have to be very, very careful and precise about your draw. But it's ideal for training you for that. But for hunting, I actually prefer something more stable. And I would rather go hunting with a cheap 40, 50 pound point bow than this, technically speaking. But if I were in a pinch, guys, this is more than good enough. In fact, I am in a pinch. I'm broke. And I wanted something that would function. And, you know, I really played around with this. I could get to and have a pee or undo my belt in an emergency, take out my keys, without interfering with the fletchings on any of these. They're actually in really nice spots where even drawing my bow, I'm not risking hurting any of these. And it's really nice because if I just take my natural motions, everything falls into place perfectly, guys. This is actually turning out to be
the very best homemade bow I've ever had that wasn't made out of wood. It's also the very best quiver setup I've ever had that was homemade by far. And the other's quiver is so cool, I can even put solar panel in it and charge my phone off it. It gathers water and distributes it and stores it, which is one of the reasons I wanted to have something else with me when I go camping to put my arrows in. I've said when I did that series that I would build something else just because if I end up using it to catch water, I'm gonna need to have something else to put my arrows in. What? If I'm using it to catch water and it's raining, I'm not freaking hunting? Hell no. When it's raining, perfect time to hunt. I put that outside along with some bait, food wise. If I can get it. Then I go hunt and I come back and my water is being gathered and I'm hunting in the rain, which actually helps cloak my smell over distance, but it also helps to cloak my sound big time, and it allows me to sneak right up on stuff I couldn't normally get that close to. So yeah, it can be quite advantageous to know your business when you're hunting, and I like to engineer myself a setup that is really light. Bam, bam, I put it on me with no trouble. Bam, I grab it and I'm gone, and I have everything I need right now to go hunt, and I'm half naked and have nothing. But I do. I have everything I need. I don't even have a knife on me, but I have my arrows and I have my bow and I have a spear. All that stuff. I mean, that really is multiple weapons at the same time. And any one of these has a good enough, sharp enough point that I can stab something with it and it will go deep. And I can absolutely do that if I have to. So I've been deeply impressed with them. And I just, honestly, I just keep making it kind of better. And you can see when one is all the way down, the other one will start on its own right about there. And if I pull this one up and let the two put them in together, they'll only sit about here, which is actually really ideal. And it's kind of nice. I mean, it's a really sweet setup. It's worked out so much better than I thought it does. And when I want to remove it, it's not like it takes, the other setup I have is the sling takes a little longer to remove it. So now that I've got them both out, I'm going to show them to you in detail. And the only real big difference here is that aside from the different sticks, is the fact that one of them has been drilled out for a single arrow only, so it holds my best arrow and keeps it rock solid secure no matter what, so it's not going anywhere. Even if I drop this, it's unlikely to do any harm to that. And it's strong enough I could use it as a stick to beat something off if I had to once I fired the arrows. And I have two of them. And I put good tape on this end so you can use it to whack something if you had to. It's also got a hardened plastic bit in there that will help give that some substance if you had to use it that way. But in the bush, I've had all kinds of encounters with animals, and not all of them are going to be what you would want. And it's entirely possible that you surprise them and they surprise you, and I recommend being ready. Now, the other thing about that is with nothing more than an elastic at this point, I can just take them like this, lock them together, and you can see I pretty much built them for this, and they'll be rock solid with a couple of elastics on there, and stuff that in the side of my bag, and the little straps, it works so perfect, and because they're grip material, guys, they work really, really great, and they're grippy more in one way than the other, which means once you put them in, they're very resistant to coming out. They're really nice. Anyway, that being said, this is now officially my favorite DIY archery setup / project that I've ever done, because in the end, I got two really sick quivers. I'm still really happy with the other one. I've fallen on it. I've had it fall over. I've had things fall into it that have some weight. I've had it knocked over by a dog. I've had so many things I've done to it, and I still haven't had any of the feet give out on me. As far as I know, it's still watertight. It's a sick quiver. It works amazingly well. It works really well when it's on my back and locked in the way I intended it. It works great. So I've really got no complaints with any of this. All of that's worked out really sick. And in the end, these fletchings are working out great. I have 3 here that are designed for the red to go up, and the white fletching goes down. And on the other 3, I kept them separated, so the other 3 are fletching, white fletching goes up. And that way, I have 2 batches of 3. Each one gets a designated best arrow, and I keep it separate from the others. And the quiver being the size it is, it gives me more than enough room. And what's cool is I can take my quiver, and this, of course, has its own build videos. It even has little feet with water that are water spigots, so that you can actually drain water out of it and drink directly out of it and just connect the tube to it. So that's one thing. So now, instead of me taking these in and out of here all the time, that's not actually what I do. I drop one right here, and I drop the other one right next to it, and they actually lock in pretty solid, and I can leave them in here and just grab my arrows, except this one, which is good because it's my best arrow, and I generally want to know if I'm grabbing that one by mistake. The weight of this and the stiffness of it will help guarantee that. Also, these stick up farther, and while they're in the position of my secondary arrows, if I'm not having this on me, then all the arrows are in the quiver, and them being here and a little looser than these ones makes them higher and more accessible. If they're on the far shoulder, it's way easier for me to grab high than really low, and so the higher they sit in the quiver, the better. The ones on the right side can be low, and I want more of them low than high, so if I hit a branch, I don't wreck all my arrows. And in a case like this, what am I wrecking? My two worst ones. Not technically, they're all good, I don't want to wreck any of them, but I do have the other option, and sit this one down in its own tray, and when I do, and work it all the way down, you can see they'll all sit at the same height if I want. It's one of the reasons I really love this setup. All the gear that I have made so far works so well together that as a package, they're badass. They really are, man. Anyway, at the same time as this, I still have enough room to put 6 more arrows in there easily. And if I keep these two separate and on me, then I have enough room for another dozen arrows in here, which is basically my plan, that I'll have 18 arrows in total, and I'll have my back quiver, and I'll have those 3. So I'll have my target arrows basically, and then I have my 3 hunting arrows that are my best 3 most accurate arrows. That's the plan. So I'm still in the process of shooting. Also, I'm going to order some more arrows at the end of the month, so they will be the other 12. And once I have those and they're all dialed in, I'll show you those. Again, I'll show you the vendor. I'll show you all the details, because honestly, I don't expect bad things, man. I don't expect to be doing smack talk about these guys. No, it's the other way around. I expect to be showing you how good it is. Because I'm not going to buy the cheapest ones. I'm actually going to spend some money and just buy the ones I actually want, assuming they're available at the time I want them. I notice they kind of come and go, but they are pretty common, but they are the top of the line ones with the shortest fletchings that are nice and tightly spun, like what I'm making. And for those, they're rare, they're hard to get, and they're the expensive ones when you find them. And this is a DIY channel, which means I show you how to make the best ones you can get, and that's how it works. So this is it for this one, guys. Like, share, subscribe, and I will show you how to make very cool stuff. Oh, so this is what I'm talking about. Very simple. If you guys didn't catch the videos on this, you can go back and check everything out. And as you can see, it holds my 3 main arrows nice and securely. And in fact, I've actually rigged this one spot up. If you really count the holes, it'll hold 6 arrows. And that's why. So if you put 6 there, another 6 in this side, and another dozen back here, which is actually what it's designed to hold, believe it or not. And that's the great thing, it actually will. This will hold 24 arrows, guys. And with those 3 on me, that would give me 27 arrows. Now, hunting, I don't need that many. Target hunting, I don't need that many. Which is why it wasn't about how many I could stuff into it. I actually based the diameter of this on how hard I wanted it to be to reach in, and how many compartments and separations I wanted there to be, so I could have little shelves like I do, so I could set things very precisely where I want them and have them at different heights if that's what I want. I engineered all that into it. So if you guys want a cool build series for your DIY quiver, go check out the series and you'll see this is my hand compared to it. It's not very big, but that was the point. I found any smaller a target than this, when it's on your back, it starts to get hard to actually hit accurately, and I really wanted it to be accurate. So I have these 3. I'm right-handed, so the bow will be in my left, and I'm reaching over my right shoulder, which puts these in the primary positions. These are farther away, which means I generally have my kind of scrap arrows over there, but instead of that, because I don't really have scrap arrows in this batch, they're actually all good. I can take these and put them on my side and have different fletchings arranged differently. And that's what I'm going to do, because eventually I will have, like I said, 18 arrows, which will mean I can take the 12, and of the 12, assuming it's the same split, which it usually is half and half, I'll have 9 of each type that have fletchings in different directions. Now, 9 is a number I like to take when I target shoot. And I like to have the fletchings separated. So in the end, they're both useful to me, and I'm going to mod them anyway, and they're going to be even more useful because it has a little less of an impact that way. Just because the less the fletchings stick out, the less of an effect it has whether they are aligned correctly or not. But in the end, these are actually done very well. I'm really happy. No quibs about AliExpress. In fact, I was deeply shocked at how long they took to arrive, because instead of them taking months to arrive, they took weeks. They took 3 weeks to get here, guys. I ordered them June 1st, I think, and I got them like just after my birthday on 19th of June or 20th of June. So I'm really excited about that. I've had them for about 48 hours at this point, and everything that you've seen I've done in that time. No, but everything you've seen, including the building of these two guys, has been done in this time. And as you can see, they come out very pretty, guys. And when you're wearing them, I can't help but say it, you kind of feel cool, because these are badass. And they both match my bow, my arrows, because there's black and red and all these elements are on it. And when you look, the white and the red is on this to match the arrows really, really nicely. And the other one is matched perfectly to the bow and all that stuff. And it also crosses over by having the white on it, which the other black quiver doesn't have, which makes it really kind of cool. It's, how do I put that? It's just kind of neat. It's like, no matter how I cut it, it really is kind of cool. And for a minute, you just wouldn't even notice that they're in there. But if you want them, they're available. And I can just, sorry, if it wasn't for the fact that I'm on camera and reaching in with one hand in an awkward fashion, you can. They are sitting shallow enough that you can just reach in with 2 fingers and grab them out. But in the end, they come out real nice. They match the bow really well. The other one matches the arrows really well. You can go either way, and I chose to go both because I had the ability to do it. I didn't have enough of this material to do 2 at this length, but I did if I went this way. And it came out really nice, guys. I'm really happy. If you pay attention, find the right materials, take your time, make a DIY project happen, you can make it really, really sick and come out with excellent accuracy, guys. Have a lot of fun. Learn archery. Get yourself in shape. Practice survival skills, hunting technique, all that stuff, guys. It's a wonderful thing to practice archery. I am a firm believer. Keith out.